Hey everyone, welcome back to Degron Quarst. It's me, your host, Drunkbot. And, no, I'm not actually that drunk. Let's drink a little bit before this. But, alright, whatever. Anyway, we want to go to Gondolia C, probably? I'm assuming that's what we want to do. So maybe I can just warp to every single port in the immediate area. Yeah, I've been having a good couple of weeks as far as games go. There's a lot. There's a lot. Anyway, I'm gonna go over here. We're just gonna explore. I don't necessarily know what's up, what's what we've got ahead. Coast of Velour. Okay. Let's see. But yeah, I don't know what we've even got ahead here. But I figured I'd, like, run around and take a look at things, unlock war points, fight stuff. Yeah, Tipsy Bot. That might be a valid description of who and what I am right now. That is just a sentient battle umbrella. Okay, I think I've got the game in auto mode. I think, honestly, between episodes, I might actually go on, like, a serious grinding spree now that we've unlocked a lot and see if I can get the characters up into, like, the late 20s. I'd like to... No, I don't really care. This is one of those games where the battle system isn't complex enough to, like, really hold my interest. It's good. It's pretty good. But, like, I'm more here for just kind of the goofs and the story, and just because this is one of the most relaxing JRPGs I've ever played. Does the music sound just different? Hey, so some of you guys noticed, I got the orchestral mod working. So what you are currently hearing is, instead of the MIDI version, like, instead of the MIDI version, like the game ships with, there's a mod out there, and I'm not going to tell you how to install it. You're going to have to figure it out yourself. It doesn't seem like they're cracking down on it or anything like that. But you can effectively replace the entire soundtrack with the orchestral soundtrack instead of the MIDI version. And it sounds really good, actually. And I turned it on because the MIDI version was just getting a little bit bloopy for me. And I really like the non-MIDI version. I kind of wish they just had it as a Boolean. Like, I would pay $10 for a DLC for the game that had the whole soundtrack redone as the orchestral version with, and you can also, like, you know, actually put the, you know, you also get the MP3s as part of it, too. Like, that'd be really nice. I'd love that. More games should do that, especially if they've got, like, multiple soundtracks. Persona 5 kind of did that, but really was like, buy a $5 skin pack for your characters, and then hear a different battle music song. Because I really like the idea of, you know, having multiple soundtracks in the game. Because, let's be honest here, for games, there's some really good soundtracks out there. Oh, hello. There's some really good soundtracks out there. The problem is, like, for example, Persona 5, I was talking about that. I liked Persona 5 a lot. It was a fun game. But it was a game that took forever. And after a while, I got so sick of listening to the soundtrack that I just didn't want to anymore. So I actually, for the latter part of the game where you weren't having a whole lot of cutscenes and whatnot, I actually just put in my own headphones and just sat back and relaxed and listened to my own stuff. Because it was like, it's like, I recognize that this is a great soundtrack and it evokes some beautiful emotions and so on and so forth. But I've been listening to the same soundtrack for 100 hours. And that's, to me, almost unacceptable. I feel like music is almost one of the most underrated things in games. And, like, you can get good soundtracks, but it's like, if your game is going to be longer than 20 hours, you really probably want to consider replacing at least part of your soundtrack by a certain point. You know, especially battle music and JRPGs and stuff. You know, it's so much more satisfying in a JRPG if, like, you're not just listening to the same sound. Like, I'm a little bit leery about, Pokemon, what is it, Let's Go Eevee, that Shell and I are going to play in a couple of months. I'm looking forward to the game, but I also know that the soundtrack is going to be very repetitive for a relatively long playthrough. And that's going to bug me a little bit, because I know I'm going to be sick of it by a certain point. Luckily, I don't think it's going to have any voice acting, so I could probably just put in my own headphones and just talk to Shell and stuff. And I think for like a lot of people, I guess maybe the kind of reason why developers don't do this is like, well, they can just like mute the music and turn on their own music. But I guess it's especially noticeable for me because I have to talk over this stuff. I can't put in headphones. I can't mute the music and listen to something else. Unless it's a game where it doesn't, like, you know, Graveyard Keeper, for example, recently I've just been listening to my own music. And honestly, barely even paying any attention to the game, which I've been getting some amount of crap for, because it's like, Wander didn't even talk about the game this episode. And I'm like, I mean, it's the same game over and over and over again. Grinding in a JRPG. Like, right now, I'm barely even talking about the game apart from some semi-tangentially associated topic. But, like, it's hard listening to the same songs over and over again. Especially if it's, like, literally the same song. Because I don't know if this game has, I don't know if this game has, alternate songs for, like, each area. I think it's the same songs across the board.
Victory!
I feel better than
Like, I think the battles across the game, except for boss fights, and, like, maybe, like, dungeons? It's just gonna be the same, like, semi-bombastic, like, you know, brass soundtrack while we're out in the world and stuff. And it's like, it's good. And I like it. What's up with this? What's with the weird darkness that's floating around over here? Or these... Oh, these are monsters. Okay, I didn't know if they were something special or not. The answer is they kind of are. See, didn't Skyward Sword have partial voice acting? I don't know. I actually will admit, I only played part of Skyward Sword. I got into the first dungeon, and it was about the same time I was modding my Wii. And I found out that you could actually effectively get, like, some pretty hefty cheat codes for everything in various Wii games. So I was trying to mess around with, like, hey, what's the weird stuff I could get on? And I stupidly turned on hero mode on my first playthrough of Skyward Sword, which makes the game awful, because effectively, like, hearts don't drop, and, like, there's a bunch of other stuff. And you can't undo that, either. Because hero mode is, like, the harder New Game Plus mode. And, well... Suffice to say, I got that far cheated, and I was like, oh, okay. Never mind, then. But I had also, like, pirated the game, so I didn't feel particularly motivated on actually playing it. Usually when I was a kid, when I would pirate stuff, I'd pretty much play it for a little bit and then shelve it and be like, yeah, I'll buy this later. It was, like, effectively a demo mode for, well, anything. What is this? Oh, umbrellas. I can run past them. I can fight him, but I can do that elsewhere. The hero mode is stuck with you the whole run. I hate that. I love it when games let you, like, customize the difficulty the whole way through. You know, recently I started a playthrough on Pathfinder Kingmaker, that new CRPG. Really, this boss is just a reskinned mob now. Alright. But, you know, I'm doing this series on Pathfinder Kingmaker, and it's got a brutal difficulty curve. And one of the things I really like about the game is, wow, that hurt him. One of the things I like about it is, yeah, if I want to keep going with the series, and I probably will, I can straight up just, like, adjust how often enemies crit, what their stats even are. Like, I can reduce their stats down. This guy sucks.
have that patched up.
Kind of. I think we'll be okay, but ouch. But, you know, I... Oh, and he's down. Okay, he just hits really hard. Maybe he crit me, I'm not entirely sure. Hello, weird octo-mage creatures. Brain. But yeah, so for Pathfinder Kingmaker, I'm getting my butt kicked in the game. And so what I'm probably going to do in a day or two is just crank the difficulty down real far until they actually manage to patch the game down. And then I can just be like, yeah, alright, you know, this isn't bad. As bad as it was. I don't know. Let's see, is Wander ever gonna do the Champion's Ballad DLC in Breath of the Wild? If I ever have like a really slow, if I ever have a slow month, I will absolutely do Champion's Ballad and a bunch of other DLCs. Unfortunately, from a YouTube-y perspective, and even like to some degree a Twitch perspective and whatnot, streaming DLC in general is actually a dead end, because at that point nobody's looking for it. So specifically, the developers of Dungeons 3 reached out to me. They want me to cover the DLC for Dungeons 3, which I'm gonna do probably tomorrow? If not tomorrow, the day after, we'll see. But, like, historically, I've never had a series on a DLC do well, period. It almost always just gets kind of forgotten. Because there's so many, like, actual new games coming out that it's just like, you know, who cares about the DLC and stuff? And, you know, by the time that DLC does come out, unless it's like something extremely major, like people have really been looking forward to it, it's like I didn't even... Oh! Mangle Grove. I wonder if I can actually go back to, Cobblestone and such. I might be able to, actually. You know, most people just honestly aren't looking for it, and it sucks. And it works great for developers, for like bridging the gap between games. DLC is a really good way to get, you know, a little bit of extra money out of people, so that you know, they're not just because when a game goes gold, there's still, you know, well, maybe not gold, but you know, when a game is more or less ready to be complete, most of the developers aren't even able to work on the game anymore. And so instead of the old way of doing it effectively, the studio would kind of wait with bated breath for the game to release and then see if, you know, they want to start working on the next one. At which point the entire management more or less lays off the entire working staff, because they don't want to be paying salaries while there's nothing to work on. Hello. I think that was more of an issue before DLCs came out. There were some expansion packs, but for the most part, people would just wait. Gold. Why are you referring to games as music albums? So, there's actually a difference between going gold in music and going gold in games. So, going gold in music, I actually have no idea. I know nothing about, I know nothing about how music going gold, platinum, whatever goes. In games, when you go gold, it means the game is shippable. So if you're specifically releasing on console, or, you know, back when computer games used to be on discs, going gold was a marker saying the game is being printed onto discs. We are effectively done. We might have like a day one patch that fixes some things, but otherwise the game is functional and feature complete. So that's what going gold is, at least in the video game industry. Okay, so going gold, platinum in music is selling a certain amount. Yeah, in gaming it just means that your game is done, which I think is totally fine. Maybe, I don't know. I like that as a term. I think they could have gone with a much better, like, video gamey term, and I'm honestly kind of shocked that they didn't. But whatever. I got a bit of a headache. Long stream. Not enough sleep this past week, and being a little drunk have not exactly been a great combo. I'm fine. I'm just gonna be a little bit, like, casual. And, I mean, it's an easy opportunity to just wander around the world and be like, hey, what is up here? What is going on? Are there any interesting things to look at? Yeah, game devs need worker unions. Big studios treat them really badly a lot of times. Yeah, it varies. Like, there are some really good studios. Like, I'm fairly certain the studio for Horizon Zero Dawn and, like, Insomniac are pretty well made. If you ever work for AAA, you want to work for the AAA studios that are slightly smaller than, like, huge, and also the ones that have very low output. Not, like, extremely low, but, like, you know, they put a game out every couple of years. The valley will take you all the way to the Champs Sauvage. Don't know if you heard about it, but that place is surrounded by some proper high mountains and that. Promise you can't pass through here right now. Nope, the only way you're getting into the old Champs is by the sea. Yeah, looks like this is blocked off. Alright, well that's fine. Great opportunity to live up to my name. I really do, actually. I'm really happy with the name I chose for myself for YouTube and whatnot. People get confused. Apparently, a lot of people have thought that I straight up am like a bot script. I think it was more of an issue on, Twitch than YouTube. Because apparently, like, Stumped legitimately thought I was just a bot originally. You know, there's a horse in this game that I've totally forgotten about. Oh well. Hello, Slime Knight. But yeah, anyway, so DLC is a great opportunity for those devs to continue, I'm gonna say continue being employed and stuff. Because effectively that gives them something to be working on between games. So during the really slow periods, they can work on DLCs, generally without crunch too, which is nice. Though some studios are particularly awful about it. Or some studios are straight up, wow, Sylvando, real helpful. Oh, wait, no, never mind. That's the regen move. That's not so bad, but I'd still leave the, healing to Serena. That was some damage. But, you know, if you work at Telltale, for example, they don't do DLC. They do episodes, which more or less put the studio in a state of perpetual crunch and awful. I feel real bad for anybody that worked there. I heard it was, like, both awesome and awful at the same time, and it's so weird. Like, I worked at a studio that was kind of soul-crushing just because it was SpongeBob stuff and Nickelodeon products. But, like, I could never work at a studio that, like, forced me to work 60-plus hours a week. I did a couple of those, and it was not fun. I did a couple of those when I was in college. I think it was midterms. The same week as, like, when my boss was like, hey, by the way, I need you to stay past full-time because we've got a lot of projects right now and we need extra people. And I'm like, I'm still a student. You're literally a teacher for classes. Like, you should understand, it's midterms. He's like, yeah, well, the teaching thing's a side gig. And you should be focused on your job. And I'm like, I suddenly am not so sure about working here after all. I mean, it was a fine-ish job, but it was definitely one of those where I was just like, huh, this is, this, I shouldn't stay here for too long. I think it was fine for some people, but for me, I worked very slow, especially early on, just because, you know, I was tired all the time, and wasn't very good because I hadn't had the time to develop my skills, or ever had, like, a person that really taught me how to make art for video games. Because all my teachers were, like, you know, magazine illustrators and stuff. And they were pretty good, but, like, they were miserable teachers for, like, how to make video game art. And, like, how to create a lot of, like, fast assets and composition to some degree? I don't know. They mostly were good at forcing me to make artwork, which I guess worked. I keep totally forgetting that I actually have a horse here. Oh well. Yeah, Telltale also doesn't do the running thing anymore. Is true. Telltale, very, very distinctly is quite dead. I think there's people in talks about, like, potentially finishing The Walking Dead final season. You know, maybe backers or something to get them to finish it. I think there's also stuff about maybe the Stranger Things game. Though I think Devolver Digital is putting forth a bid to have one of their sub-studios make a game for Stranger Things instead. which would be amazing because there's some really good Devolver Digital sub-studios that could absolutely ace like a Stranger Things game, way better than I think Telltale could have ever done. Because Telltale was a studio that, like, effectively, they had some low-key hits, but otherwise they were just kind of like a small studio, didn't really like make it anywhere. And then they hit it really big with Walking Dead Season 1. Like, incredibly so. And, like, it's at the time, it was incredible. Everybody was, like, really excited about the studio. Even I was like, oh man, adventure games are finally back. You know, it's nice to see an indie game get this level of recognition, because I think Walking Dead Season 1 was one of the most recognized, and I'm gonna call it an indie game at the time, because it was definitely a small studio. I think they only had, like, 30 people working there. Probably. It was not a huge number of people. And so it was this, like, huge breakout hit that everybody was really excited about. And so effectively, they caught lightning in a bottle and were like, oh man, all we have to just do is keep doing this. The problem is, unfortunately, gamers are, I wouldn't say shockingly stingy, but, like, for me, for example, with the Telltale games, I played Walking Dead Seasons 1 and 2, and then Wolf Among Us, and then I got bored. Because they were all the same game, effectively, you know. Everybody's vaguely unhappy at each other, and, like, just kind of awful. And I was like, yeah, I just don't want to... I don't really want to play any more of these games, because they're kind of heavy. And then there's the episodic structure that made it worse, because it was like, oh yeah, I could pick up this game on launch, or I could wait until the whole game's done, and then I just waited forever, because I never actually heard the, you know, it's like, oh, when's the final season out? I don't know. So like, I don't even know if they're done with that Batman game, even though I'm pretty sure they're done. But like, you know, there are some gamers that will buy into the same game year after year, but it's tough to do that. You know, it works with Call of Duty because it's the multiplayer draw. You know, you have to buy the latest version. And so, so Activision could just keep pumping out the same game over and over and over again, because the audience would move with it, and reliably so. World of Warcraft could pump out an expansion pack every 2 years, because they already had a bunch of people suckered into the product, and it was really easy to just keep them there. And it was, you know, when you already have people paying $15 a month, an additional 60 doesn't seem like so much. Especially when, you know, it adds so much more content and time. I don't know. Hello. I haven't seen a new Pink Slime Knight. But yeah, the problem with Telltale specifically is that they didn't catch lightning in a bottle again. You know, Walking Dead Season 2 did okay. I don't know if they did a Season 3 or Season 3 is the final season. No, they definitely did a Season 3 that was separate. And the final season's something different, I think? I don't remember. I gave up. I gave up on the series. Season 2 was too dour. And I hated all the characters. But yes, this is a special Slime Knight. But like, I bounced off the series in all of their future games. The only Telltale game that I'm passively interested in playing at this point is straight up like, I'm interested in potentially playing Tales from the Borderlands at some point, just because I've heard it was really, really good. Probably one of the best Telltale games. But like, other than that, you know, I don't even know what other games they had. Honestly, it was just like, they're all the same. That's why I never like really got into Assassin's Creed to some degree. I didn't get interested in the Assassin's Creed series until I guess it was like a 4th of July, and I was like, well, I own Assassin's Creed 3 from a random bundle. I'll do a series on it. And then I was so bored. And then I lost total interest in it until I found out Austin Wintory was doing Syndicate. And I still didn't do it because I wasn't that interested. Didn't Telltale also do the Michonne one? Yeah, and I heard it was awful. Like, I heard it was, like, not good. see, the best Telltale game is apparently Minecraft Story Mode. Maybe... The problem is, like, it's hard to say whether or not a game that markets specifically to children, who's generally one of the largest audiences in the world, for, like, video games, is necessarily their best. Because, like, effectively, those kids aren't going to be like, oh, it's another Telltale game, you know, let's buy it. It's another Minecraft game, let's buy it. So, like, tons of kids are gonna probably buy Minecraft Dungeons or whatever that new game they're maybe putting out is. You know, a ton of kids are probably gonna pick that one up, but most of them probably aren't that interested in Walking Dead, even Batman to some degree. Definitely not like Wolf Among Us and a couple other things. And so, you know, it's a market, it's an extremely limited market. It's why, like, I stayed away from Scrap Mechanic after a certain point, because I was just like, I can't keep marketing to an audience that won't move to any of my other products. And so it's like, it might have been their most successful games, one of their most successful games, but unless they kept making other really kid-friendly products that were tied to very popular IPs to begin with, they weren't going to get a whole lot of cross-audience interaction and stuff. And that's why, like, if you ever look at the sales number, some of them were, like, well below 100,000, which is, like, real dangerous for a studio. Even if it is, like, a double A studio, they were employing, like, a couple hundred people. I have no idea where I am, or why I'm here. I'm gonna go check out the armor and equipment shops before I go anywhere. I'm just kind of wandering randomly. I guess we'll pick up the side quests while we're here. Well, at least it's not chainmail. Okay, so it does look like these are better. Blackblade is a great sword. It looks like it was a good idea to come out here. Very expensive, though. Do we buy... Oh, we also have the Hypno Whip. I gotta get rid of his extra stuff. I'll just throw it in the equipment bag. I should probably forge up some of my equipment too. Upgrade it. Yeah, I'll probably do some grinding things off camera. Okay, lolly stick ain't that great. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the best to sell the... it just has to sell the most. Sort of. I mean... marketing, marketability, and so on and so forth is, like, really tough. Because, like, some of my best series, for example, have never actually done great things for my channel. And it's, like, it's tough to say, like... What else do we have? I think just everything I find just goes into Tunks' inventory. It's kind of dumb, because it turns out I don't actually need any of it. What's Moonwarp Bulb? It's kind of helpful. But yeah, the antidote? Nah. But yeah, I feel like it's better to get a consistent source of income as a studio. Instead of, like... Oops. Oh. We can just unequip the medicinal herbs. Okay, that saves a little bit of time, actually. But, you know, it's awful to get a... Oh. No, never mind. Transferring it to Tunks does not send it to the item bag. It actually just hands it to himself, which is really stupid. Okay, I might be a bit drunker than I thought I was going to be. God damn it. Okay, that clears up my inventory a little bit. Oh dear, this is turning into a rather tricky situation all around. I really need to be heading home and getting back to work, but if I don't get her what she wants, they'll be held to pay. Oh, sorry, this is the first holiday my wife and I have been on in years, you see. I've been too busy with work. Anyway, I thought I'd bring her here and get her away from it all for a bit. But now she's saying she won't go home unless I get her a piece of floral coral. And you can't buy that stuff in shops, you have to fight a Coralosis for it. I know I haven't been giving her the attention she deserves, and I really would like to try and make her happy. But fighting monsters is, well, it's really not my cup of tea. You on the other hand look as though you love a scrap. I don't suppose you could do the deed instead of me, could you? Make it worth your while. Okay, hey, and that'll get us a whip book. Oh, sorry, anyway, he's just telling me where the Coralosses are, which I've seen them already? I might even already have the coral. Probably not. Maybe I do. No, we don't have it. It's just telling me about it again. That's fine. Oh, mini metal guy. There's a mini metal guy in here. Let's see what we can trade them for. Because that's something we haven't done yet. Hello. The senorita at the metal exchange. She told me she came here for from all the way across the western mountains to collect mini metals. Aye, they must have some kind of special power if they can make a person do such a thing as that. Seems totally loco to me. Oh. Oh, that's you. Okay, album of medals. We'll fix that. Okay, so we have the album de dice. I don't know, anyway. For each and every mini medal that you bring me, I'll put a stamp in your album. When you've earned enough stamps, you'll be rewarded with prizes. Okay, so it's not one of those where we have to worry about spending on stupid things. Okay, shield bearer. I have no idea what that is. And then we get Hermes hat. I guess I have 10. Cool. Is that just a... The innkeeper in this place is a slime. Of course it is. No. Without proper pepper, the flavor is all wrong. It is simple as that. Aye, lo siento, senor. I'm sorry. I should not get so angry at the kitchen. But the fact is, my specialty dish requires a pinch of proper pepper, and I do not have any. See, I always import my pepper from Gondolia, but recently they have been facing a terrible shortage. It seems a gang of vicious pirates has been attacking the Gondolian trade fleet and stealing entire cargoes of my beloved spice. Curse those wicked men. Los brutos. Aye. Or, alas, they are as clever as they are cruel. Proper pepper is a valuable commodity. Indeed, it is known in these parts as oro gris, grey gold. I dread to think how expensive it will become if criminals are in control of its supply. Senor, you're a strong and capable man. See? Perhaps you would be willing to liberate my precious proper pepper from its pirate captors. Okay. Pirate Space is on a small island not so far from the city of Gondolia itself. Probably where the stolen pepper is being stored, see? But senor, you must be very careful. I heard they are very fierce indeed. Muy fuerte. I would not wish for you to get hurt trying to help me. Okay.